All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to explore a really powerful story, and it comes from the mountains of Nepal. It's all about a community that's ready to make this huge leap, a move away from the old way of doing things, traditional aid, and toward a future that can actually finance itself. This is the story of the Shailung Impact Fund. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of the financial model, I think we have to start right here, with the people who are at the very heart of the story. Just look at this picture. This tells you that this isn't some abstract plan on a whiteboard. This is real. It's happening on the ground, and it's the result of years of incredibly hard work. Farmers have already adopted new techniques like the polyhouse you see, and the results? They've been amazing. The foundation for something much bigger is already there. This quote, it just nails it. It really gets to the core of what's happening. There's a massive difference between just surviving and truly being able to grow. Look, aid has been absolutely essential, no question, but it's taken them as far as it can. They've kind of hit a ceiling. They've got the skills, they've got the drive, but now there's a whole new barrier standing in their way. So to really get why their solution is so clever, we first have to look at the proof. The success of a project called the Sustainable Agriculture Transformation Saloon Project, or SATS for short, is basically the launch pad for everything that happens next. Let's take a look at what they've already managed to do. Okay, first, just let this number sink in for a second. 2x. In just 2 years, the average farmer's income doubled. What does that really mean for a family? It's not just a number on a page. It means better food. It means being able to send your kids to school. It means having the power to actually invest in your own future. This is a life-changing kind of transformation. And the impact goes way beyond just the crops in the field. Look at this. 122 women have become economically active decision-makers in their communities. We're not just talking about money here. We're talking about real empowerment, about shifting the social dynamics from the ground up. It's huge. This number right here, this proves something really important about the community's financial discipline. The farmer groups have collectively saved over 1 million Nepalese rupees. That's around 6,500 euros. They've built their own savings funds, which shows they know how to manage money responsibly and that they trust each other to do it. So you put all the pieces together, and the SAT SHOSH project laid down this rock-solid foundation. We're talking 168 households, year-round farming, and even smart ideas like livestock insurance to lower the risk. But maybe the most important thing it did was build a culture of financial know-how and prove a crucial point. When these farmers get a fair shot, they invest and they pay it back. They are so ready for the next step. But wait a minute. If everything is going so well, what's holding them back? Well, this is where we meet the villain of our story, a financial system that isn't helping them, it's trapping them. Just take a look at this chart because it tells you pretty much everything you need to know. See these huge slices of the pie? Microfinance, cooperatives, individual lenders? That's where pretty much all their loans are coming from. Now look at that tiny little sliver over there, formal banks. They're basically nowhere to be found. And that leaves these farmers with very few and very, very expensive options. And this really breaks it down. We're talking about interest rates of 24 to 30%. Come on. These loans aren't designed to help you invest and grow. They're for day-to-day survival. And check out the repayment schedule. Inflexible monthly payments. That makes absolutely no sense for a farmer whose income is seasonal. It all just adds up to this vicious debt cycle, not a growth cycle. So here's the bottom line. The community doesn't have a skills problem. They don't have a work ethic problem, and they definitely don't have an ambition problem. What they have is a capital problem. They've proven they can create value, but they're completely locked out of the fair financing they need to take things to the next level. And this is where the whole story pivots. To solve this very specific problem, a brand new tool was designed from the ground up. So let's meet the hero of the story, the Shailung Impact Fund. So what is it exactly? Well, in simple terms, the Shailung Impact Fund, or SIF, is a pool of money that's set up to provide affordable, repayable loans. But the two most important words on this slide are locally governed and revolving. And trust me, those two words change everything. This right here is the engine of the entire model. That word, revolving, it's a total game changer. Donor capital isn't just a one-time grant that gets spent and then it's gone. No, it seeds the fund. That money gets loaned out, the farmers invest with it, they profit, and then they repay the loan. That same exact capital, plus a little interest, goes right back into the fund, ready to be loaned out to the next farmer. The impact doesn't just happen once, it keeps going and it multiplies. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, this sounds great, but an idea is only as good as its execution, right? So how is this thing managed? What about the risk? Well, let's break down the really smart structure they've designed to make this fund both effective and sustainable. The way this whole fund is managed is really, really smart. It's a mix of local ownership and expert oversight. The farmers themselves, they have a seat at the table through their own cooperative. Then they're supported by an expert organization called ISARD, which gives them technical and financial guidance. But here's the key. The decisions are made in Shailung, by the community, not from some office halfway across the world. And that local context is absolutely critical for success. They're also really intelligent about how they manage risk. They're not just jumping into the deep end. It's more of a crawl, walk, run approach. They start with low-risk loans to those savings groups that have already proven they're reliable. Then they move on to financing shared assets for cooperatives. And only then do they start to help guarantee bigger, new enterprises. It's a phased approach that builds stability and trust as they go. So, what will the money actually fund? Well, in Phase 1, the SIF is focused on the things that are already proven winners. We're talking livestock, tunnel farming, high-value fruits. Then Phase 2 starts looking to the future, diversifying into new areas like ecotourism and dairy processing. It's a super clear roadmap for sustainable growth, and it's all built on that foundation of success we talked about. Okay, so let's pull back for a second and look at the big picture. What does all of this really mean in the grand scheme of things? This is about way more than just better loans. This is about designing a completely different kind of future. What we're witnessing here is a fundamental shift in how we think about development. It's about moving from short-term projects to building permanent systems. It's about going from one-time grants to reusable impact finance. This is literally the journey from being dependent on aid to achieving true economic autonomy. I love this quote. It says everything. The money isn't just a gift that disappears. It's a tool. It's patient capital with a purpose, and it's designed to keep working, to keep creating value, and to keep empowering people year after year after year. So at the end of the day, why does this matter so much? Because a model like this completely flips the script. It replaces that old cycle of dependency with a new cycle of local ownership and reinvestment. It's a blueprint for building a resilient rural economy that has the power to finance its own future. And this whole thing, it's being spearheaded by local partners, like the organization represented by this logo. This just reinforces that this change isn't being pushed from the outside. It's being driven by the community for the community. It's their vision, their institution, and their future. So we'll end with this question, just to leave you with something to think about. What if the goal of support wasn't just to help out one time, but to build a system that keeps creating value forever? The Shailung Impact Fund is a really powerful attempt to answer that question, creating a legacy that doesn't just last, it grows.